Welcome to our tutorial. This moment again, I am here to guide you on how to write a program using if statement, and actually it's an if-else statement that will determine the marks, the grade of a student based on the marks that have been entered. So here we have the tool. Here we have the tool. We have this is what we are supposed to implement. Write a program, and in this case we are going to write a C program to implement the following. So if a student has scored between 70 and 100, that is 70 and to 100, that would be an A. 60 to 69, that would be a B. 50 to 59, that would be a C. 40 to 49 is a D. Below 40 is a fail. So this is how we are going to do it. We can do away with this. So our program has started as usual. We have the structure. So we are going to define a variable here called marks. We can call it marks because that is what we are going to enter. And then we are going to ask the user to enter the marks. So we'll say printf, and then we just tell the person enter the marks. Enter the marks. And remember, we also want to ensure that if you enter something like negative value or marks beyond 100, you get an error. So enter the marks. Then here we would want to start this on a new line, so we would do that quickly, and then we will terminate that statement out here. Then we will now need to do a scanf, a quick scanf. This one will now do the following. You quote and say %i, because we are dealing with an integer, so we are referring to that space of an integer. Then we ampersand. It is actually, you hold on shift and press 7, then you have that ampersand, and then you call your marks. So ampersand marks, yes, ampersand marks, terminate. So at this point in time, the program can allow us to enter the marks, but we cannot be able to test the marks that have been entered. Okay, so we will need to work around and now begin to introduce the logics using the if statement. So we are going to say if, and in this case we want to have both the lower and the upper limit. So we are going to say if, then inside that if we are going to have another bracket where we are saying marks is actually, let's use the word greater or equal to 70. Marks is equals to greater to 70, and then you put and, that is to mean two conditions, and then you also say here you have marks being less or equal to 100, like that. Yes. So we want to output something here. We would want to output something here and just say printf, and what we are going to output here is that your grade is A. Your grade is A, and then you terminate. So we can test this program to see whether it's running. You should be able to run and enter the marks. Let's enter something like 78. You realize that your grade is A, but at the moment, if we enter something like maybe 20, you will not see anything. Okay, the reason is we have not coded that logic. So we again come here and say else if, then here again you define your marks and say want to do it explicitly. Marks marks is greater or equal to 60, and then you say and max, again you put another max is less or equal to, actually just say 60, less than 70. That is still very fine. Then here we are going to let's copy this and then we just change it. So we're gonna copy this, just change that your grade is B. Okay. I can still just copy this because of saving time. You do what you call code reusability. I'm gonna copy this and then do an enter and then do another enter. So if I change this one to 50 and then I change this one to 60, then my grade is going to be C. Yes. Then I'll change this to 40, then this one will be 50, then my grade will be, you know, that one, that would be a D. Oh, sorry, that will be a D, like that. So at this point we are capable of holding the numbers up to 40, but below that we don't have, so we need to have another else. Else if we are going to say if our max is greater than 0, and then greater than 0 and this is less than 40, we are going to say that your grade is F, or you fail. Let's just say you failed. You failed. So at this point we don't have what we call else, but we need to have it. So we need to have what we call else that marks the end of our statements. Let's do this and then we say printf. We are going to printf and just say invalid entry. So I would want to explain this code one by one after we have tested it and see that it is running. So here it is. So let's try to build and run. Let's enter some marks like 20. You failed. That is true. Okay, let's run it again. Let's enter marks like 98. Your grade is A. Okay, that is still very fine. Again, what we have done here is we've just ensured that we are capable of, you know, holding the boundaries together. Because if at all I had the first one saying max is greater or equal to 70 here, then this is less or equal to 100, that is taken care of. And then I come down here and just say else if max is is greater or equal to 60 without defining the upper bound, then it will spill out and pick any value above 100, like 101 would still be a B. Okay, so to avoid that, we have categorically just decided to do boundaries for every bit of this program. Okay, I'm just thinking, let me try to remove this and remove this. I want just to see whether that can also work. And then I say max is like this. There are multiple ways of doing these things, so let's try and see. And then we enter 78. Yeah, that still would work for you. So you can have the double brackets, or you can just have, you can arrange your work this way, max, that way it still gives you the value. But let us enter something like 101, for example, and then we hit here. You see, that is an invalid entry because the program is able to execute and check the first time you the marks are entered, it checks whether it is within the range of 70 and 100. It is not there. It again checks, is it between 60 and 70? Not there. 50 and 60? Not there. 40 and 50? Not there. It checks between 0 and 40. It is not there. Therefore, it will just tell you invalid entry. Let's see, if someone entered a mark which is maybe -3 or -2, that still is an invalid entry. And that way, we have been able to now fulfill the requirements of our project, which were here, that we ensure when a user enters marks below 0 and above 100, the program should output a message invalid input or invalid entry. And that is it. We have been able to take care of that, and this is how to implement a program using else if statement. That is how it is done. So I believe that if you have any query, you would want to explore more, you can actually modify this program to do quite a number of things out here. The most important thing that you need to know as a student is that you are aware of the number of variables you need to define, because the variables we have defined here, we are not in any way doing computations. We are only checking the values. But next time probably we will ask, or you'll be asked a question where you are supposed to enter the marks, and then the program should be able to compute the average and use that average to output a grade for a student. Again, that is simply some logics that you need to handle at the end of the day. In that kind of a scenario, we would be able to define the variables for holding marks, and then define a container that will also hold data. That data would be now compared, probably, and I think that is the next thing that we would be doing. So keep following this channel. If what you've learned here is beneficial to you, just hit on subscribe button as we move in the process of ensuring that no one is left behind in the journey, in the quest of learning some bit of software engineering, which you can use in your future, even as you tunnel yourself and prepare your mind to transit into AI development. Thank you and have a good moment.